Hey, it's Randy here in the garage. What I've got in the work stand today is this old Schwinn Impact, probably from the late 80s. I had this bike built up and was riding it not all that long ago, but I tore it down to make room for another project. One issue I had with it was the front fork. There was something out of whack or aligned with the front fork and just caused it not to track right. Anyway, I thought I would build this back up again, and I've already hopefully fixed the front fork. So what I believe the problem was with the forks is just the blades were tweaked or bent out of shape, I guess. I laid the fork flat on the concrete and did some measuring up to the dropouts here and could see they wasn't getting the same measurement. So I put my foot down on here, stuck a hammer handle in here, and did some torquing on it to get things kind of bent back in shape, I hope. We'll see. First up, I think I'm going to get wheels and tires on here. Well, I don't have a matching wheel set. I think I am going to go with this rear. It's quick release with a 6-speed freewheel. So this rim a little more closely matches that rear one, but it's got the black hub and spokes, which I'm not keen on. Then we have this one. It's a little kind of narrow though. Okay, I found another front. It's a little wider than as far as the width, it's in between those other two front ones. So, I think we'll go with it. So as for tires, I've really been wanting to use these on something. I think I might have once before in the past, briefly. I've just never had a bike that I thought they would look good on. They're just a cheap Duro 26 by 2.125, kind of just a cruiser tire with a street tread. So I'm gonna get these mounted to the wheels and we'll see what they look like on there. I swear this is the year I'm gonna get my bench top replaced. It's almost to the point of being unusable now. Okay, here we go, as always, handlebar and stem choices. Now, I believe these are what were on here before. I like these, but I kind of hate to put the bike. I'd kind of like to build it up a little differently than it was before. I'm going to go ahead and put a cable hanger on here. I spent so much time messing with those handlebars, trying to make a decision, which I still haven't. But anyway, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna have to call it an evening, and I'll just get back on it whenever I can. Okay, next day, back at it. And I'm fed up with this handlebar situation. So I'm just gonna put something on there so we can move on with the rest of the bike. I think I'm gonna go with this setup, just a old quill stem, these handlebars that I've extended a little bit. So this is a little too small, I'm gonna put a shim in there. And these bars were silver, painted silver, and then I did give them a coat of primer just to kind of tie in with the red of the tires. Like I said earlier, I believe these are the bars that I've previously had on this bike. I think I'm just going to swap all the levers over to these other handlebars. Well, the shifter I pulled off those other handlebars, that won't work because it's indexed for a 5-speed, and this wheel's got a 6-speed on it. So I need a different shifter. We're gonna need a derailleur, so while I'm in here, possibly that. Or this one, they're both Sun Tours. Okay. Now for the shift lever. I'm gonna go with this derailleur. Now for a crank set, and here's my options. So I think we'll go with this one. It's Originate crank and a cheap narrow wide chainring, and hopefully this gives us an okay gear ratio. I'm gonna get a chain put on, shifter and the brakes all cabled up, and I won't make you suffer through that, so we'll just be back when that's all done. All right, the brakes, shifters all wired up. I ended up going with a different shifter. That one I initially picked out, I realized was missing the housing on it. So the mismatched brakes. Up next, grips, then pedals and then the saddle. And for grips, I think I'd like a little bit of color. I'm going to go with one of these two grips. And I think what I'll do is see what I have for pedals before I decide on either of these. I've got these baby blue pedals, but that's just off from this, so I don't think we'll go with that. Could just go with black and these grips. I think these are the grips that I had on this bike before. And as for the saddle, I already know what I want to use. We're going to go with this kind of a Brooks knockoff. So I'd like to put a basket on here. I just like having baskets. But the flat area here, the bar isn't wide enough to accommodate these clamps. So the clamps would end up being here on the rise a little bit, and that's just too much of a nightmare trying to tweak them and get them to fit. So I think that this style of basket's out of the question with these handlebars. Now I could take a rear rack and mount it, but to get it where it needs to be, it would be against the brake cable, so that's not going to work. Now I do have one of these little racks, front racks that mounts to the brake bosses, and then I could zip tie a basket on here if I wanted. I just like the looks of the old school baskets with the struts going down to the axle. I don't know. I may put this on there and see what it looks like. So I just went up in the attic to see what basket I could mount onto here, and I found this black one. And what I just noticed though is that these brackets are narrower here, and they would fit right there, no problem. And I'll just have to put on some longer struts. But I already went through all the trouble to put this on. Do I just cut these off, take the struts off, and mount it like that? It would set a little lower on this, which would be nice. This bungee is, I think its time is up. I think I'm just gonna zip tie the basket on there. I'm not gonna commit yet to cutting these off. So I'll just leave them as is for now. Well, I think that's it. So I'm just going to end this video here. As always, thanks for hanging out with me, and be watching for a ride and recap video. So we'll just see you then.